had a really good reading month for March, really good. I read 11 books, and that's in addition to the stuff I read for grad school, the stuff I read for work. So I think 11, really 12, if you count what I started today. March isn't over yet when I'm filming. So 12 books for the month of March. Not bad. Hey everybody, I am Miss Thomas. This is Book Talks with Miss Thomas. If you're new here, you know what to do. I don't want to get into it. Thanks so much for coming back if you're returning. All right, so today is almost the end of March, and I'm going to start with the book I started today because I don't have it in my notes. I am going for spring break on a road trip with my youngest. My oldest and my husband are both accountants, so they'll be home. But I thought, well, my youngest and I can go to the beach for a little getaway. And I got the bright idea that we could listen to an audiobook on the way to the beach. And of course, he was like, I don't want to listen to an audiobook with you. So I started listening to an audiobook today. I did some research on what would be an interesting audiobook to a teenager, and I got a few options. I decided on something called I Am Number 4. I'll put it right here. I Am Number 4. And I've started it today. It's pretty good. My son has no interest in listening to an audiobook with me, so I don't know how that's going to go, if I'll finish the book or not. I like it. I'll probably finish it. It's about a boy and his guardian, sort of like his father, but not really. They're from another planet, and it's science fiction, young adult book. And the boy and his name is Henri, the father or guardian. He's not the biological father, but he comes to planet Earth. They are on the run from these monsters, and I think they're Lorians is what they're called. Like I say, I just started today, so I'm not that far into it, but they're on the run from these monsters, and the boy's name, well, it's not really his name, but he thinks of himself as number 4 because there's a group of 9 people from this other planet, and they're numbered, and they have to be killed in chronological number. So when number 1 died, he felt a burn in his foot and there was like a scar. And then number 2 died and he felt the burning. And so number 3 has died and he's next. He is number 4. And so he's on the run from these monsters that want to kill the 9 people and their guardians. And they came from another planet. I don't know if the planet's name was Lorien or if the people are called the Lorians, or I don't know. But I got that in the hopes that it would interest my teenager, and probably not interesting him. I'm still holding out hope. There's the librarian at my school recommended a really funny book by Trevor Noah, and I am maybe going to get that one and see if he'll listen to a funny book with me on a road trip. So anyway, that is number 12. Should I go backwards or forwards, or I don't know. I have dyslexia, so I'm not going to go backwards. It's too much thinking for me. I will tell you, some of these I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because I mention them in other videos, but I'll mention them just as part of my monthly wrap up. So, Find Me. Did I tell you guys about Find Me? I don't know if I mentioned Find Me to BookTube, but Find Me is a book. Oh, I don't have the book. It was an audio. So Find Me, here you go. Find Me is a mystery where these 2 women, there's Hope and Lindsay. And Lindsay is a lawyer, and she discovers her friend Hope when Hope has had a car accident, and there's something, she's in this car accident when she's younger, and Lindsay finds her, and they become close friends, and then Lindsay goes off to become this successful lawyer, and Hope has no memory of how she ended up in Lindsay's life, you know, in this car accident. What was Hope's life before all of that? And then Hope disappears. And so Lindsay is on the hunt for her friend Hope. She's convinced that something bad has happened to Hope, and she's trying to find her. And so it's the story of one girl who has no memory and the other girl who was her friend, a little bit protective of her, bound and determined to find her friend. Hence the title, Find Me. Book number 2, I have that one with me. That one is Focused. And thank you to Amanda at Book Lover Amanda. She recommended Focused. And I was thinking about maybe doing a video about books that every teacher should read. When Amanda said that she read this book Focused, and it's about a girl with ADHD, and she could identify with that. I don't have ADHD, I have dyslexia, but as a teacher, I think it is really important to try and understand the different people that we come into contact with. Really, I think anybody should try and understand the different people they come into contact with. But, you know, when you're in a leadership role and you're standing in front of a group of people and they're looking to you and you want them to respect you and you want to have some kind of sense of community, I think it's a good idea to try and understand where they're coming from. So even though I don't have ADHD, I thought I would read this book, and it was really good. It talked about this girl's perspective and what it was like to have ADHD. And one thing that it really got me thinking about was she really likes chess and she wants to play chess, but because of her ADHD, she, you know, forgets to do assignments, she loses things. And so the natural sense of accountability, natural consequence, punishment, let's get real, it's punishment, is, well, we'll take away the chess. Although it is kind of like, well, you can't really focus, if you can't get your schoolwork done, you can't, you know, keep up with the things that are required, should she be able to do something extra? And of course, because the story is told from her point of view, you get that, yes, she absolutely should, because that's her place. That's where she's in her zone. That's where she can be successful. And it's just, I don't know, it really added a level of thought for me. It caused me to think as a teacher and as a parent, maybe we should rethink how we perceive what we expect and the rewards that go with things. You know, for example, I mean, a little bit of a bunny trail, but some of the students that I work with are going on a field trip. And I was debating with another teacher today about, well, if a student is failing, should they be allowed to go on the field trip? And, you know, theoretically, you're supposed to have all your work in before you can go on a field trip, just like you're supposed to have a certain GPA before you can play sports. And that's always been the way it is. And I see that. I really do see that. But after reading this book Focused, I started to see things a little bit differently. I started to think, well, yes, but if a student has a place where they can really thrive and grow and they can really shine, why would we take that from them? I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that one, because yeah, there are situations where you're in school, you have to do well in school. So I don't know. It's a tough one. I may have to edit this particular thing because I could go on for hours, but the idea of Focused, it really challenged me to think about when a student struggles academically, or in an unrelated situation, maybe a student struggles with behavior, although I think she did get into a little bit of trouble sometimes. But is that really reason to take something away, like in the case of this book, chess? Or is that something that would really help a student and maybe help them to be successful in the other areas that we value, you know, the academic areas? So I don't know, it really prompted me to think about things. And I wonder, maybe I should do a video on books that teachers should read, or books worthy of debate and discussion. This one prompted an internal debate for me. So thank you, Amanda, for recommending Focused. As you know, if you've seen my other video, I really loved Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And so I got the sequel, Carrie, Soto is Back. Was not impressed. DNF'd the book. It might end up being a really good book. Maybe if I had I don't know, the commitment. I have commitment issues with books. I'm sorry. I just, yeah, sometimes I have trouble getting into the book. And with Carrie Soto is Back, I just didn't get into it. It was on and on and on about tennis and the competitiveness of tennis. And I really didn't like the character, Carrie Soto, which of course, when I read Malibu Rising, I didn't like Carrie Soto and I wasn't supposed to like her, right? She was the home wrecker and I liked the main character in that book. So naturally, I'm not going to like the woman who interfered with her marriage and confronted her at her party. But I didn't like Carrie Soto even more after the first few chapters of this book because she has this tennis record and some other tennis person is going to, beat the record and oh, boo hoo, my major record, this world record is going to be broken. I mean, really? That's what you're upset about in life? Let me give you a list of things you could really worry about. So I had a hard time with that one. And I DNF'd it. Does it count as part of my 12? I don't know. But yeah, that's one that I started and DNF'd. Speaking of sequels, I loved Dial A for Aunties. And so I couldn't wait to get a hold of For Aunties and a Wedding. Loved it. You'll have to check out that video if you want to hear the specifics. But I definitely recommend both Dial A for Aunties and For Aunties and a Wedding. And I absolutely recommend the audio because the voices are just hilarious. Those are fun and funny books. The Summer Place by Jennifer Weiner. Like I say, I DNF'd that one. Let me also mention just two other books that I covered in another video because they count this month. I read them this month. In for a Penny, loved it. Loved it so much that I just laughed out loud. It was just really funny capers of these elderly women, sort of solving crimes, sort of, solving conflicts in prison. So that was a good one, The Little Old Ladies and In for a Penny. And I liked it so much, I went out and bought the sequel to that one. So definitely recommend that one. And then another one that was recommended also by Amanda at Book Lover Amanda. By the way, I'm going to do a series called Book Blessings, and I'm going to feature books that I enjoyed from specific booktubers. So Amanda is going to get her own video. I'm going to do a video on books that Amanda recommended. But I will say that I read, and I did a video on it already, so I'm not going to belabor it, but I did read and enjoy 2 Parts Sugar, 1 Part Murder. That was really cute. So thanks, Amanda. Speaking of books that are recommended by other booktubers, I've got this one with me. Dear Henry, Love Edith. Now, if you know me at all, I'm not a romance reader. I don't really like romances, but this was an exception. It was cute. And I really liked this book. I don't want to spend too much time because guess what? It was recommended by Katie at Paperbacks and Ponytails, and Katie's getting a video. I'm going to talk about some books that Katie recommended. But this one, I will tell you, it's a very fun, light romance. It's about 2 people that end up living in the same house, and they leave each other notes in the kitchen. They've never met. They don't know who the other person is. And they each think the other person is elderly, but neither one is elderly. And so they're leaving these notes to each other in the kitchen. And it just makes a really sweet, fun little rom-com. Highly recommend. I'll talk about it more in another video, but thank you, Katie, for recommending Dear Henry, Love Edith. Another one that I read, because I liked In for a Penny, my dear friend Kay, that gave me that book or loaned me that book. When I returned it, she said, oh, if you liked it, you'll probably like this one. So this is Merrit Badge Murder. And this is the story. I mean, look at that cover. You've got a mouse, a knife, s'mores. It's a story of a character who is a CIA agent who, I guess her cover was blown, and so she had to leave the CIA, and she ends up being a Girl Scout leader. So she and her best friend are leading a Girl Scout troop when a bunch of murders occur in her life. And so it seems that somebody from her previous life as a CIA agent is out to get her. And so she is trying to figure out why all these bodies are showing up in her life. And, you know, she wants to keep safe. She wants to keep herself safe and her friends safe, and definitely her Girl Scouts safe. And so there's that. And then there's also, it's sort of, if you know the Stephanie Plum books, there's this little bit of a love triangle. There's this former CIA boss that she's got a thing for. And then there's this, you know, Mr. Yummy neighbor who's a detective that lives across the street that she's got a thing for. So she has a little bit of romance, romantic attraction to the two different men, and they're very different. And so this had some comedy, some romance, and some friendship. You know, I'm a sucker for the books with friendship. I liked the CIA agent and her friend, the nurse. I think the nurse's name was Kelly. And I liked the nurse. So this was a good one. Merrit Badge Murder. It's a cozy mystery, and it's part of a series, a Mary Wrath mystery. Killers of a Certain Age is another mystery that I enjoyed. A friend of mine recommended it, and I found it on my Libby app. And I actually finished that one this morning and then started, you know, I Am Number 4 today. So I really am motivated to read this month. Killers of a Certain Age is a fun story about these elderly women who were recruited from college in the 1970s to be trained assassins. And so fast forward, well, actually there's a dual timeline. There's the present, which is when they're retired and someone has tried to assassinate them. And so they're retired and they're like, why would someone assassinate us? And they get together and try to figure out, you know, who's trying to hurt them. And, you know, they want to sort of get to the person before the person gets to them. And then there's a lot of flashbacks to, you know, the days when they were in college and then they were recruited and trained to be these assassins. And so they were trained initially to assassinate people who got away with war crimes, you know, Nazis who got away with war crimes, specifically after the end of World War II. And then from there, they start assassinating different people, often very famous, very powerful people. And now they're elderly and retired. And let me tell you, don't make Granny mad, right? Although I don't know that any of them actually had grandchildren. But the four of them make a deadly combination, and they're quite funny. So Killers of a Certain Age was a lot of fun. It was not a Philippians 4 book, certainly, but it was a fun book, and it was very light and had some funny things in it too. And I love that. I love that the books now are starting to appeal to the seasoned woman, if you will, because I'm one of them, and I really appreciate that. And finally, I want to tell you about a really powerful, impactful book that I read. I actually listened to it. It was read by Lucy Liu, which was really pretty cool, I thought. And that book was Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Ng. I think it's Ng is how it's pronounced. It's spelled Ng. And at first I was listening to that book and I was like, wow, is this a historical event? Did something happen? And then I actually looked it up, and it's a dystopian, futuristic book. But it was so real that at first I thought maybe it was actually referencing something historical that happened. It was terrifying and real. And I definitely think it's something that we should all read. And it would be a great book for discussion, like a book club discussion, and maybe even a good book to put in a high school curriculum for an English class. Our Missing Hearts is a futuristic dystopian book. And it's told largely from the point of view of this little boy named Bird. He named himself Bird. He was actually born with the name Noah but he liked to be called Bird, when somehow his mother disappeared, and he doesn't have much memory of his mother, just that she's gone, and he lives with his father. And before his mother disappeared, they had like financial security, they had a nice house, and everything seemed to be going really well. And then they had to move into like a dorm room because his father, he was a linguistic professor at Cambridge. And then his mother disappeared, and his father ended up the guy who shelves the books in the Cambridge library. And they go from owning a nice house to living in a dorm room at Cambridge. And he gets a letter in the mail, and he knows that it's from his mother. Although it's not a letter, it's a picture. It's a picture of a bunch of cats. And he really wants to understand Bird, whose name is Noah. I mean, they call him Noah now in the book, even though he's flashing back to when he was Bird. He liked to be called Bird. But because society became very, I don't know. I mean, I thought a lot of the Holocaust. I thought a lot of Fahrenheit 451, but the society became very paranoid about free thinking. I guess that's how I'll put it. And so a lot of books were removed from the libraries and destroyed, although the author goes into it about the books and, oh no, we don't burn books. We're above that. So we recycle them and turn them into toilet paper. Like that's somehow better, you know? And it's a little bit crass the way the book just describes it. You know, we don't burn books. We use them to wipe people's behinds now, you know, if they offend us, if the book offends us. So it was definitely, had a lot to say about censorship and trying to restrict people's freedoms and restrict free thought. And there was a little girl named Sadie, and that was Bird's friend, and she ended up in foster care. Her mother was taken because she was a reporter and she was questioning some of the things going on, and therefore she was declared unfit, and Sadie was put in foster care, and the mother was taken by the government. And there is an author's note at the end of the book where the author talks a lot about how this is a historical thing that has happened, that people have been taken from families as a way of government control. And so, you know, the author, Celeste Ng, I think it's Ng, talks a lot about, you know, different historical things that influenced her writing this book. And I thought it was just a very powerful book. It was, like I say, it was a story about I think it was a totalitarian government, really, that restricts free thinking. But it was told from this little boy's point of view and how he just wants to learn about his mother. So, I don't know. I thought about giving that one its own video because I just really thought it was that powerful. But instead, I think I'll put chapters in this video. And I saved the best for last. I think I will end with that. So anyway, I hope you're out there reading. It's been a fantastic month for me. Like I say, maybe the sunshine is starting to inspire me to, you know, read a little more. And that's why, but I'm just running with it. I'm thrilled to be reading and having some good things to talk about on BookTube. Bye for now.